Welcome to the Friends Fantasy Benefits Baseball Podcast. I'm Justin Mason, lead fantasy writer and analyst of friendsoffantasybenefits.com. Joining me, as always, is Dave McDonald. How you doing, buddy? How you doing, my friend?
I don't know how to respond to that, so I'll just say I'm doing good. I guess we might as well jump into it since we've done our pleasantries on all the other episodes anyways.
Yeah, I guess we can. We got a longer episode than we just did for the Monday episode. Tuesday episode is going to be a bit longer, a lot more to cover. You can follow Dave on Twitter at RunDMCD. Don't forget the D.
Add that D.
You can follow me on Twitter at Justin Mason, FWFB, and Friends of Fantasy Benefits on Twitter at Fantasy Benefits. Don't forget to give us those 5-star reviews. Really help us out, and it'll get you entered in to win a free RotoWear shirt at the end of the month. I think that's about it. I should probably check the reviews while we talk and see if we got any. I know we got at least one on Spotify. Somebody sent me. We do have a ton to cover on this episode. This is our episode where we kind of cover potential pickups. We're talking about hot players or guys with really good matchups. On the rundown, you'll see a key of like, hey, these are, what each color means. And we'll kind of discuss it as we go as well. But we'll start with kind of our blue matchups that you say are the elite matchups. Let's start with Philadelphia, who've got 7 games, 3 right-handers, 3 left-handers, some bad SPs going up against those Philadelphia Phillies. Who are you looking at picking up in those matchups?
Yeah, so on rotosource.com, which I've told you guys is where I have our hitting and pitching schedules, that's where you'll see I color code. This is just how I operate. I like to do things by color. So I've got the teams colored, and so blue is my elite team matchups. Green is very good. Yellow is good. White is, it's just plain, it's neutral. Orange is bad, and then red is very bad. So for the Phillies got 7 games this week. They've got 4 versus righties, 3 versus lefties. So you're looking for guys who can hit both lefties and righties because it's not strong for both righties and lefties. It's both. So my 2 were Stott and Bohm, who I think depending on your leagues could be available. Bohm does hit lefties particularly well, so you get 3 lefties is a lot on a schedule in general. So. But he can still hold his own against righties. So he did just recently come back. Maybe he got dropped. It depends on how shallow some of your leagues are. But yeah, if Alec Bohm is available, I like him as a pickup this week because Philly faces Tommy Henry, Zach Davies, James Kaprielian, Hogan Harris, and Nelson from Arizona. So he's got some really nice matchups. And the other 2 are Merrill Kelly and JP Sears. So they don't really face any really, really good pitching. I mean, Merrill Kelly has been good, but that's really it. Series is okay. So, yeah, you've got really good matchups. And then Bryson Stott is another good pickup. He can hit both lefties and righties really well. He did sit today, but it's just an off day. I expect him to play the other 6 games this week. So,
yeah, I would definitely scour your waiver wires for Bohm. He's just coming off the IL. He might have been dropped in a number of leagues where people didn't want to waste the IL room on him. So he could be a pretty sneaky pickup this week. Like you said, murders lefties, holds his own against righties. So, doesn't have a ton of power necessarily because the launch angle's low, but he hits the ball hard and get some good matchups. Maybe he does hit for a little bit of power this week, but definitely could average boost, give you a little bit of counting categories as well. So, Tampa Bay, the other really good kind of schedule this week. They've got 7 games, 4 versus righties, 3 versus lefties, and bad starting pitchers as well. Who are you targeting there on Tampa Bay?
Yeah, so there again, you're looking for guys who can kind of hit lefties and righties. Whereas you've got guys like Rayleigh who only play versus righties. You're not as much looking at guys like that as you are maybe like Isaac Paredes, Jose Siri, and Taylor Walls doesn't hit righties very well, but he hits lefties well and he runs a shit ton. So if you need steals, I still like Taylor Walls, but Siri and Paredes are the 2 that stand out here. And, granted, despite the fact that they get 7 games this week, neither of them are going to play 7 because that's how Tampa rolls, but they should both play 5 to 6. And considering they get Kaprielian, Harris, Medina, and Blackburn from Oakland, like that's just that is exactly what you want to see from who your hitters are going to face in a given day. And then they also get Ryan Weathers from San Diego. And then the last two games they get Snell and Musgrove. So they do have to face two solid pitchers as well. But unlike Philly, but there is a possibility that Seth Lugo returns this week and takes Weathers' spot. But either way, a returning Seth Lugo is not exactly a great pitcher either. So target those Rays for this week.
Yeah, if you can get Paredes somewhere, I know he's been struggling a little bit as of late, overperforming.
I think Paredes has been doing well lately, right?
He's been doing well, but if like you look at the underlying numbers, like he's outperforming his XBA by 30 points, and he's been getting lucky, and so he may be a sell high candidate, but after this week, not this week. So and then Siri is just always kind of a boomer bust proposition, but it's a pretty good boomer bust with a good schedule. You know, the power, speed, a guy you want to try to take advantage of in your lineups if you can pick him up. For those of you who've got midweek pickups, let's move on to some of our green matchups. Atlanta has 7 games, 5 right-handers, 1 left-hander, which doesn't add up correctly, but
that's because there's a pen game in there, so I don't really classify that as a righty or a lefty. So I just kind of, probably if you're starting versus righties, I'm guessing you'll start versus the pen game is how I would say it, but I just didn't count it towards the righties.
Okay. Who are you attacking this week?
Yeah, so most of the Braves offense is pretty universally owned. I mean, really the guy that stands out is Marcell Ozuna as someone, and unfortunately, today he got hit by a pitch and left the game. So, what was a really good week for him now turns into a subpar week for him, unless he's miraculously back in the lineup tomorrow. But, he's a guy who you can probably pick up in some 12s. He hits righties pretty well, and, he was playing every day. They get the Colorado pitching rotation of Freeland, Lamet, Seabold, and Chase Anderson, which is a dream. Today they face Detroit's Penn, and then the Tuesday, Wednesday they face Reese Olson and Michael Lorenzen. Not exactly feared pitchers, so really good week for the Braves, and really you just want to get your guys in. That if you guys have any Braves, make sure they're all in.
Yeah, and they already started hitting off very well. Michael Harris had a home run today. He's finally starting to turn things around. So definitely make sure your Braves are in lineup.
I'm assuming Harris isn't available anywhere. If he is, get him. But I mean, he's drafted. I know he was bad early. Yeah,
he got dropped in one of my OCs a couple weeks ago. And I missed out on him by $7. Even though I didn't like Michael Harris coming into the year, like it's just an example of like. Just because you don't like someone coming in here doesn't mean he's not the best guy on the wire if he gets dropped, right? Like, I didn't like him coming in here. I think I was proven right with my analysis on him, but he's still the most talented guy, on the wire if he gets dropped. So he could be available in some leagues. So definitely go and check your wires. Chicago Cubs get 4 righties, 2 lefties, some bad SPs in there. Who are you throwing into your lineups this week?
Yeah, they get the Pittsburgh and Baltimore rotations. They get guys like Luis Ortiz, Rich Hill, Cole Irvin, Kyle Gibson, Dean Kramer. So they have some real nice matchups. There's not right now. The Cubs are one of the worst hitting teams in baseball. So there's really nobody that's super standing out who would be available. Because like Morel really struggles with lefties, and he sometimes doesn't start versus them a lot. So. He might only have 4 games this week, so that I don't love that. But Seiya Suzuki was starting to come alive, but then he had it's a real vague injury. They're saying he said he's got some injuries all over, and he took the day off on Sunday, I think, and then so we'll see if he's in the lineup on Tuesday. If he is in the lineup on Tuesday, I do like Seiya Suzuki as a play this week. And then Ian Happ is a guy who, given this schedule, could wake up a little bit, but he's been a little cold lately. But those are really the 2 that stand out. Suzuki's the guy that I'd try to pick up if possible.
Yeah, I had some questions about Happ and Suzuki in my chat earlier on Monday, and I'm not worried about either of them. I think they're both gonna be fine. Yeah, this kind of general soreness issue. I mean, it almost feels like they're just trying to give him a day off. So I'm
Yeah.
not, or a few days off to kind of get his
'Cause they're
head right,
off
make
day.
sure he's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So, all right. Next on the docket, we've got the Kansas City Royals. 3 righties, 3 lefties, but some bad SPs mixed in there. Who you going with on Kansas City?
Yeah, Kansas City is an obvious target with Pratto because he gets 3 lefties and he's got a 138 weighted runs created plus versus lefties, and he leads off for them now too. Yeah, they'll face Luke Weaver, Brandon Williamson, Ben Lively, Tyler Anderson, and then they also get Patrick Sandoval's bad too. I mean, when Canning is the best pitcher you face in a week, that's a nice week. So I really like Pratto this week. I think he's the only one that really fits the criterion of what of guys who can hit lefties well on that team who will be available. The other guy is the guy who we mentioned earlier, Darren Blanco, who got called up. If you need steals, he's a right-handed bat, and I expect him to play a lot this week. So if you're looking for steals specifically and you don't mind, not getting any power out of someone, look at Blanco.
Yeah, and by earlier you mean yesterday's episode, since that's when people will hear it. So, but yes, I'm with you on Pratto. Pratto was one of my targets in a couple leagues this last week. He was still available in a 15-team league,
Wow.
and I spent I think $69 on him to try to get him.
Nice.
It was nice. I was like, oh, I think he's worth probably about $60, and I was like, yeah, I got to do it for the meme. So 69. Let's say we'll take it down. So,
what was the backup bid to him?
Well, it's in a league where you don't see the backup big. So it was on a CBS league.
Okay.
It's NFBC format, but on CBS. So it's run by some guys in New York. Steve Cozzolino, who you may know, won the auction championship overall last year. And my offense not been doing so great, but hopefully Nick Pratto helps me out a little bit. All right, moving on to the next team on the docket, we have the Los Angeles Angels. They have 7 games, 5 righties, 2 lefties. Anybody you're looking to snag to kind of improve your chances with their matchups?
Yeah, so because of John Gray getting scratched, they now have Cody Bradford on the docket because it was originally 6 righties and 1 lefty. But yeah, they get Dane Dunning, Cody Bradford, Brady Singer, Mike Mayers, who's been getting crushed lately, and then Greinke. It's a lot of pretty bad pitching. They do have to face Eovaldi and Heaney, who are Eovaldi's been an ace, but outside of him, that's a real nice week for your Angels hitters. Really, the only guy who's going to be available. I mean, if Neto's available, I would love to get Neto. I would assume he's probably not. He might be he might be available in some 12s, but Drury is the guy who I expect to have the best week out of these guys because he's been hitting righties pretty well this year. So if Drury's available and you can use his multi-position eligibility anywhere, because he should be eligible at first, second, and third base to plug into your lineup this week.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think Neto might be more available than you would actually anticipate, especially in your 10 and 12 team leagues. So I think a good guy to go pick up. Obviously, in 15-team leagues, he's probably rostered in most spots. But 10 and 12s, I think there's a pretty good chance that you might be able to grab Neto.
He's starting to heat up, and keep in mind, this is a guy who came up from Double-A. Like, he was going to need an adjustment period. He's looking better and better lately. So I just have a feeling that Neto's going to go on a big hot streak here. And I think he had a couple homers and a couple steals last week too. So now is the time to grab him.
He looked overmatched at first, but credit to the Angels for sticking with him because he's gotten better and better as kind of the season has started to roll on. Let's talk about Miami, who's got 6 games, 5 righties, 1 lefty, going up against the Washington Nationals pitching staff, who's always a team you want to kind of go after for the most part. Who are you looking at picking up this week?
Yeah, they do have to face Seattle's rotation the first half of the week with Bryce Miller, George Kirby, and Luis Castillo. But then the second half of the week they get Trevor Williams, Jake Irvin, and Patrick Corbin. So yeah, definitely make sure you get Soler in there. BDLC, Brian De La Cruz, 122 weighted runs created plus versus righties, and then Jesus Sanchez, 134 WRC plus versus righties. Anytime you get 5+ righties in a week, make sure you take a look at him if you need power. So Soler is actually better versus lefties. He's got a 247 insane weighted runs created plus. Now it's a small sample, so but he's a guy who always crushes lefties. And then he's still good versus righties, though. He's still got a 122 WRC plus, 109 WRC plus versus righties. So I do still like Soler versus the righties as well. So any of those three guys, feel free to get in as much as you can this week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I love. Brian De La Cruz is still available in any format. You should have picked him up a while ago. Yeah. But Jesus Sanchez, I think people are sleeping on what he's been doing.
Agreed.
Not necessarily playing every day, but when he's playing, he's hitting. And I think he should be rostered in a lot more 10 and 12 team leagues than he actually is. Minnesota is going. They've got 6 games. 3 righties, 2 lefties, and I'm guessing a bullpen game since that math ain't mathing. Who are you attacking here?
Yeah. So again, with Detroit, I don't, 2 weeks out, who knows? They could have someone up by then. Tariq Skubal is currently rehabbing. Matt Manning as well, but he's not going to be ready. So it's possible that we see Skubal next week. I think that might be a little too soon for him. So I just put pen game because we don't know what they're going to do at that spot yet. But they get, Matt Boyd, Joey Wentz, and then Reese Olson. And then from Milwaukee, they also get, is it Colin Rea or Ray? However you say it.
Ray. Ray, yeah.
Okay, yeah, Colin Ray. So, pretty nice week from Minnesota. The problem is a lot of Minnesota's big boppers are only play versus righties or are only good versus righties. So, the big play this week would be Royce Lewis. He's someone who can hit righties and lefties. Now, if you're a deep leaguer, you might want to look at Michael Taylor, who's been running a ton lately, and then also Donovan Solano, who's been he's a guy who doesn't give you much power, and I don't think he runs much, but he's a good average guy, and he should get you some counting stats hitting. He hits at the top of the lineup a lot of times, especially versus lefties. So. For those of you in 15 teamers and plus, those are some guys that you can take a look at.
I also want to give a shout out to Edward Julian, who got recalled and let off in his first 2 games back in the majors, filling in for Jorge Polanco, who's going to miss some time with an injury. So we're going to talk about him again on tomorrow's episode because he was one of the bigger fab pickups of the week. So.
But this week, he might only get 3 games because he doesn't play versus lefties.
Well, I don't know. I think he might play against everybody right now with how injured.
He's only got 7 plate appearances all year versus lefties, so I find it difficult to believe, but it's possible.
We'll see. Definitely a good week to figure that out. Yep. Apparently, someone on Twitch is saying, "Holy shit! Did you just see how the UT lost Stanford? Worst feeling in the world." Outfielder lost in the lights. I don't watch college baseball, and that doesn't change during the college World Series. I care as much about college baseball as I do about Little League baseball, which is 0. But I appreciate you letting me know because my co-host of the Sleeper and the Buzz is a UT alum and a big University of Texas guy, that Paul Spohr. So I will go and give him shit as soon as we're done recording.
That's a good call.
Yeah, thanks for the heads up there. And hey, shout out to Scott Jensen, who I believe is a Stanford guy. So,
I didn't know that.
There we go. Yeah. So, all right. Next one is Oakland. 6 games. 6 games versus righties, 1 game versus lefties. Definitely some guys you might be looking to attack here. Who you got?
Yeah, Oakland always flies under the radar, but when they're facing righties, you've got some good options. Ryan Noda has a 154 weighted runs created plus versus righties. And you're talking about getting 6 of them in a week. That's awesome. So, granted, it's not the weakest crop of righties. I mean, you got Eflin, Glasnow, Taj Bradley in there, but you've also got Yanni Chirinos, Taiwan Walker. And you've also got Zach Wheeler in there. So, yeah, you are facing some good righties, but still, I expect him to have a pretty good week. You've also got Seth Brown with a 132 weighted runs created plus versus righties, and then Rooker, who's kind of resurgent lately. And, anytime you've got these guys who have low contact profiles, they're going to be subject to hot streaks. We talk about this all the time. You're going to have to put up with the lows to get the highs. So, he's one of those guys who you bench him when he's not hitting and when he has bad schedules. But when you're talking about 6+ righties, you want to get Rooker back in there. So 129 WRC plus versus righties. So the other thing is, while I have this at 6-1, I am projecting Philly to start Christopher Sanchez, who's a lefty, currently in the minors. He would line up with starting on Saturday. Other places had Dylan Covey. I don't think they're going to go back to that well. And then I also saw that Covey pitched an inning in relief today. So while that doesn't completely take him out of the running to start on the 17th, I do think it's probably more likely that they go to Sanchez, but it's not 100%. So they could end up getting 7 righties even. So we'll see what they do. It's early, obviously, as this is a ways away.
Yeah, I'm not a big Rooker believer, but I would definitely be loading up on Noda and on Seth Brown if I had them places or if they're available places. And they might be available places. Noda was one of the more picked up players this week in NFBC. Seth Brown just recently came off the IL, I think, last week. So check your wires just in case and see if they're available. Let's move into your orange matchups. Let's talk about the New York Mets. They only got 5 games this week. Does that mean you are more likely to sit some of their guys than start them?
Yeah, so now we're getting into the avoids, and it depends on your league format if you have weekly changes or bi-weekly changes, because the teams that play 5 games, you can still start them on the weekend and they're fine because they still get 3 games. But in the first half of the week where they only get 2 games, you want to sit them where possible. And like in Fantrax leagues, where you have to play, you can only set your own lineup once per week. I'm looking to bench my Mets because they only get 5 games. So they do get Garrett Cole, Severino. I don't know which Severino we're going to get. Then they get Michaelis, Wainwright, and Liberatore. So it's not like murderer's row here, but still 5 games is 5 games. And then, you never know if someone's going to get a day off or whatever in there too. So the Mets are a team that I'm looking to avoid playing this week. And I picked up Tommy Pham everywhere, but I'm going to wait until the weekend to play him.
All right. I picked up Tommy Pham in a number of places as well. Joining us right now, though, is Nick Pollack.
Hi.
Oh, boy. Look at this guy.
He wanted to join us for hitters talk.
I know.
Wow.
I just want to be the average fantasy guy who's
nice.
I don't know what you're talking about, so please teach me. I feel like you need that sometimes,
Yeah, I mean, we love you. I definitely want to one year when I'm doing position previews, have you on for second base or something.
I will kill it. I will.
I absolutely know you will, but I definitely want to just do a bunch of episodes where I make people talk about the one thing they don't want to talk about. So
wow, you seem so fun.
I am fun,
the most fun. But no, I just want to say, hey guys, you're doing great stuff, both of you. Also, I hope you're McMahon fans.
Very nice.
Yeah, he's number 1 on the list now, which is wild.
Who is he? Wow,
Shane McMahon. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I know.
Have you recorded this week's episode with Mr. Alex Fast?
I just got off with that. It's a good time. Nice. Essentially, he wanted it to be vacant, which I agree with. But yes.
Are you asking if we're McClanahan fans?
Yes.
I'm a huge McClanahan fan, and Dave, I wish I had gotten more shares of him. I was a little bit scared off by the price tag and then the injury at the end of last year. So
Dave,
were
you scared off by the injury?
I was. Yeah. He was the guy I avoided. What was that?
Are you still scared?
I'll be honest with you. I haven't really paid super close attention, but I'm guessing if you haven't ranked at 1, there's nothing to be afraid of, I guess.
Yeah, it is. I understand why, because like if you have McClanahan, you have him. If you don't, you don't, and
Right.
that's it. There's no
Yeah,
conversation about it.
He's not going to be available on any waiver wires.
Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, I just want to say, Noda, whew, man, what a guy, huh? You just see him in the box, and he's like, this guy can hit a ball far. You know this right away. And really, it's just that he's got that makeup. He's got that, that aura about him. That I really think, he's going to get 100 RBI and be that guy.
I'd be surprised if
100 RBI on the A's.
A potential one.
If the entire team has 100 RBIs this year,
who's got the thanks for trying sign? Where's that at?
The thing is, also like the batting average. I know that's going to be the thing. Is just he doesn't get hit. Batting average is going to be rough.
Yeah, that's
Justin,
true.
you're not making your meeting, buddy.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to.
Oh, holy shit! He's wearing a McClanahan fan shirt. I just realized. I didn't even when I said that.
That's why he brought it up. Yeah,
I didn't even notice that when I said it. Oh my god, that's funny.
For those that are wondering, I'm wearing the Justin Mason Jason mask.
Oh god,
that's great.
From Rotoware.
For those of you that are wondering, I'm wearing a random Brooklyn T-shirt,
which is perfect because Nick is from Brooklyn.
It is.
Yeah.
And I knew you were going to come on.
I knew. I could feel you wearing that shirt, Dave.
Yeah.
It has an aura. It's wonderful. Yep. How often do you wear that?
Why is it like warm?
No. I'm saying, like, is this a rarity or is this just like a Tuesday that
No, it's it's a normal shirt that I wear. I have two of them actually. It's so comfortable that I have two of them.
You're welcome, everyone, for me coming in with this kind of content for you. This is what the people ask for. How often does Dave wear his Brooklyn shirts?
We're actually pretty clse to getting to the starting pitching streamers. If you want me to kind of get through the next part, we can get to that. How about that?
Yeah, I'll be right here. I'll just be nodding nicely.
Okay. All right. I think we left off on San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego's got 6 games versus Cleveland and Tampa Bay, which both have pretty good starting pitching. So are you kind of avoiding some of their hitters?
Yeah, they get 6 games, which is better than 5, obviously. But, it's Bybee, Savali, Logan Allen, McClanahan, Zach Eflin, and then Yanni Chirinos. So, Yanni's really the only pitcher there that I would really like to attack. So for San Diego, it's not a great week for their hitters.
What about Seattle, who has 6 games, 3 versus Miami, 3 versus the White Sox, against some good pitchers in that mix as well?
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. They get Luzardo, who they lit up today. So I guess not doing too well. But then they, Yuri Perez, Edward Cabrera, Kopech, Giolito, and Lance Lynn. There are some hittable pitchers in there, but it's ultimately not a great week to start your Seattle hitters.
Once again, Jesus Luzardo is still Jesus Luzardo. And then Washington going up against 6 very good pitchers.
Yes. Or was this for the next week? Okay. Yeah, so Bobby Miller, Zach Wheeler. Why is this not coming up right? I'm sorry. So something is... Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry. There's another something somehow the previous weeks. Yeah,
it's okay. I got you. So they're going up against Houston with Hunter Brown, Framber Valdez, and Christian Javier, and then against Miami with Sandy Alcantara, Braxton Garrett, and Jesus Luzardo.
Yeah. So obviously avoid that situation where you can. Although I'm still playing Lane Thomas because he crushes lefties.
There you go. All right, then moving into our red tier, which are both 2 teams with 5-game matchups and having tough schedules. Milwaukee, who just got swept by the Oakland A's, avoiding them, right?
Yes. Milwaukee gets only 5 games, and it's Pablo Lopez, Bailey Ober, Mitch Keller, and then Luis Ortiz and maybe a pen game from Pittsburgh, or who knows, someone will get called up. But either way, 5 games with 3 really good pitchers is not great.
And then the Yankees.
Yeah, Yankees, same thing. 5 games. They get Scherzer, Verlander. Verlander's not really looking great these days, but still not exactly a bad pitcher. James Paxton's looking really good. Bayo's no pushover, and then Tanner Houck. So, 5 games versus pretty good pitchers.
All right. So let's move on into our streaming pitcher part of this episode where Nick can contribute since he's here. Special guest Nick Pollack of PitcherList.com. Follow him on Twitter at PitcherList. Go be a subscriber. Get into that Discord because it's a place to be.
Oh, man.
Not to mention all the tools and the player pages and everything that's going on at PitcherList.com. If you're not using PitcherList.com, I don't know what you're doing. You're clearly not winning your league. So, but let's talk about some of these streaming pitchers that you might want to pick up for this week. We've got AJ Smith
Shawver.
Wow. I've said his name like 6 times today too.
You want to say Smith Schuster because of the football player. Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly where I was going with it.
And they have Jared Schuster, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's at Detroit, which is a great team to pick on. Nick, what are you seeing from Smith Shawver?
The fastball needs to be better commanded. It's not also, from my understanding, it actually isn't this amazing induced vertical break pitch. It's not this as overpowering as I thought it would be. And it was an MLB debut for the most part. I'm treating that one as the MLB debut, not the relief, 2.1 innings, the actual start. It was fine. This could work for your 15-team streams. I don't, it's really hard to really gauge it from just that first debut. The fastball could be better. It could be jitters a ton for those debuts. But I wasn't blown away by it. At the same time, he is 20 years old, and he's had this incredible track record in the minors, and Atlanta is so aggressive to bring him into the majors that there's clearly something that I didn't see in that MLB debut that we will see in the future. So I'm excited about it. I want to see more, but it might be too soon for us to really see who this kid is.
Yeah, I think being 20 years old is always kind of a risky proposition when you're at the major leagues for the first time.
Drury Paredes, he's so good.
Well, you're gonna have to go back and listen to our Monday episode since this is our Tuesday.
I know
episode.
He's gonna get sent down soon.
He's gonna get sent down.
I know.
I'm very bummed about that. So I still, even though we recorded that yesterday. Not really, but I'm still bummed. What's your thoughts, Dave?
I'm fine with Nick just doing a breakdown of these. I just I'm looking for pitchers who are not, at the very least, are good enough to start and facing, bad offenses. I mean, Detroit is a 52 WRC plus versus righties the last 2 weeks. So, even if I don't love AJ, I think he's good enough to have a decent outing there.
See, that's very valuable, though. I mean, that's great. Don't ignore Dave, Justin. He's amazing.
I wasn't going to ignore it.
Okay, good.
Dave can ignore himself, but I have him on the pod every week.
Good.
That's good.
So, one of my favorite terms that you have, and you have many terms in over there at Pitcher List, is Rocky Road, and that is a term for when the Rockies leave the comfy confines of Coors Field and then struggle to know how to hit anything once they get on the road. There are a lot of great streaming options: Jared Schuster, Bryce Elder, Cutter Crawford, Garrett Whitlock. Nick, who of these would you be targeting as a guy you might want to be streaming in your lineup this week?
Oh man. Okay. Garrett Whitlock is insanely good. And if he's available in 12 teamers, I'm saying everyone get him now. He looked fantastic against the Yankees. The slider has a 20% plus swing strike rate right now. I'm very excited about him. By the way, what's so funny is Cutter Crawford. Cutter Crawford is insanely good, and I just hope that the Red Sox actually let him do things.
Me too.
He hasn't pitched more than 60 pitches since April 17th. And now he's finally gotten 2 starts, and it was about, I think, like 40 pitches and then 58, both over 3 innings. But Cutter Crawford's, get this, his PLV on his 4-seamer is 100th percentile.
Wow.
It is insane. It's near a 6, which is like the highest that we have. Spencer Strider's is right there. It's underneath it. Believe it or not.
Wow.
It's because Cutter Crawford moved on the rubber toward first base. He was in the middle of it, moved towards first base in the offseason. He went from an about 11% swing strike rate on that 4-seamer to 18, 19%. His high location went from about 40 and change to 60 to 70%. And that's a huge, huge deal. Also, the slider grades super well. He only throws a 6% of the time. That's got to change. But ironically, Cutter's worst pitch is his cutter, where he's not getting the thing down. And it's his most susceptible thing. He needs that compliment to be there in that cutter. I think more opportunities for Crawford moving forward is a great thing. And the Red Sox should lean into this because there's so much potential. But for this one against Rocky Road, it's not there yet because he's only at 58 pitches. So Whitlock, I'm a fan of. I guess it's not Tanner Houck because that's not Rocky Road anymore. That's the Yankees. And then Schuster just had, what was it? Oh, yeah, 0 strikeouts against the Nationals.
The Nationals are low-key really good versus lefties, though.
And they don't strike out against anybody.
Yeah, I have a phrase. How am I supposed to butter my bread with this?
That's not your phrase.
That is my phrase. You think I just made that up, Dave?
I thought it was how am I supposed to feed my family with this?
No, I changed it because words matter. And those that actually might struggle with it, I don't want them to feel bad reading pitcher list. I mean, that matters. No, I'm serious.
I know you are, and I reiterate, what?
People escape the world to play fantasy baseball for free, and I don't want them to actually think about like struggling to pay for food or something. So anyway, butter my bread with this. It matters, Dave. Words are important. So it's that my toast is dry as anything. It is black, and I'm just staring at it, going, "Why?
Oh my god!
Why?" So Jared Schuster. Maybe the slider does work. We haven't really even seen it really lock in anyway. So the potential ceiling of this isn't as high as I want it to be. I'm not going for that one with Jared Schuster. I would prefer Smith Shawver for that. And then was there one other there that you would
Elder?
Bryce Elder? I mean, oh gosh.
Elder.
It was a Vargas rule, which means we start him until he's bad again, which was Jason Vargas in like 2017 or something.
Yeah.
And Elder just had that 1 strikeout to 9 base runners. It was a disaster. You're going to tell me that again? See, that was not a lefty. That's a righty, Bryce Elder. So you're not going to tell me that about the Nationals, okay? All right. So Bryce Elder has a terrible sinker, and the slider is really good, but it's a really, really susceptible sinker. So it's kind of a coin flip if he's going to turn this around. Generally, when a Vargas rule happens, you hit the wall and it's over. I feel like maybe he's deserved that extra 1. So fine, compromise, start him against the Rockies, and then when that's not good, we can comfortably move on. There you go. Shazam.
What are your thoughts on these Rocky Road matchups, Dave?
I mean, no, I'm here to listen to Nick, man. We've got the expert. Let's just go to the next one.
You've been doing this for ages. You're doing great.
I agree. Like, I mean, I picked up Cutter Crawford in a bunch of leagues for cheap because I love the skill set, but yeah, it's frustrating because he's going 3 innings, and I'm hoping that they give him more run, but I don't think he's going to go 5 innings this time. I'm hoping to see 4 innings though, so that I can hope for 5 in the future. Whitlock isn't available for me anywhere, but I think in some 12s he might be available still.
Yeah, he was a streamer yesterday for me, or like over the weekend, and I was like, okay, all day, just stream him and keep him. This is great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Schuster and Elder are more just plays on Rocky Road. So it's just I think it just depends on your other options, but I don't really like Schuster overall. I still like Elder some, but we'll see what he does because, like you said, he could be coming to the end of his tether.
What about Drew Smiley pitching against Pittsburgh, Nick? Do you think he's stream worthy this week? He has not been as good as he was earlier on in the season.
He still does the same thing, though. I mean, it's mostly Blake Snell blueprint with sinkers up and curveballs down. He has hung the curveball a decent amount more, but it's still there. And, pitching is random. So maybe it works. That's all I got.
Yeah. I mean, it's just Pittsburgh's no longer the hot team that they were. They're not terrible or anything. They're just, I think they're. What was that?
What's Sawinski?
He doesn't play versus lefties, bro.
I don't care. He hit 2 home runs over the past weekend. It's pretty cool.
How is he going to hit a home run from the bench? I don't know. I haven't seen that.
He's going to pinch it halfway through. It's going to be great.
But not against Smiley.
No, not against Smiley, no.
So what are we talking about?
Sawinski. We're talking about Sawinski.
Now, if you had said Brian Hayes, I would have said, okay, that's fair.
What about Daniel Lynch, who's now back in the majors? He's got a matchup versus Cincinnati Reds at home. So any interest there? And by home, I mean in Kansas City. So
I know.
not in Great American.
I'm still like, yeah. The Reds are actually good on the road. It's weird. They're not. We all think, oh, Great American Small Park and all that, but the Reds. The last time I saw them, they were like 10th or 7th in road WRC plus, which is wild. And Daniel Lynch is strange because he showed up back from the minors with a very different slider. And it was like, oh, okay, maybe this will work. And then last start, he just went fastball changeup. I'm like, what? Is that you? I don't know. I don't buy the Royals development at all. They're like their pitching development. I don't buy it in LA for the Angels. I don't buy it for the Nationals. I don't buy it for the Rockies. There maybe are a couple others, but like I just can't lean into Daniel Lynch, and it's just too risky. The ceiling is not high enough for me to chase this.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati's mediocre versus left-handed pitching, so I'm not super worried about Lynch versus Cincinnati, especially in Kansas City. I think in Cincinnati, I probably would have been a little bit more scared of
matchup. Thinking of you, Justin. I'm gonna write it in my roundup. I'm gonna be like, there was someone I talked to who said maybe we could do Lynch against the Reds. I'm like, oh, this guy, and I will give you credit this second.
I don't write on Wednesday nights, so I won't be writing it up, so I won't be able to reference you. But I will be thinking of you. Maybe I'm doing a special podcast on Thursday, so maybe I will throw Daniel Lynch onto the rundown randomly so I can either apologize profusely or yell at you.
Make sure you call me Sir Nick Pollack when you apologize.
Sir Nick Pollack. Okay, I'm gonna write. I'm writing that down right.
So Nick, I know you mostly speak to the people playing in like 10, 12 team leagues. Have you seen any of the starting pitchers available in the 15 team leagues?
I mean, I play in some, so yes.
Okay.
I mean,
not great.
It's out in TGFBI. Oh, I know.
Well,
I would say I have been able to do some things in Tout, which is kind of cool. I mean, I'm not doing well at all because, hey, it's good knowing you, Woodruff. It's been awesome. And accidentally, this is insane. I'm gonna be haunted by this forever. I traded away, I think the first week of May, Graham Ashcraft for Estuary Ruiz. I traded him away. And then I had this horrible reaction to my Is
this why you won't trade with me in Tout Wars? It was
a root canal that I had, and I was distracted all of Monday in just massive pain that I didn't change my new lineup for Tout. So the trade got reverted.
Oh, no.
And I still had Graham Ashcraft in the lineup for like weeks, and I was like, what have I done? I did not realize I did this, so I'm screwed. But you can get things like Rich Hill sometimes, and it's awesome because Rich Hill is only bad against bad or really good offenses, and he's actually great if you play the matchups on that. And you'd be surprised how many matchups you can still get in 15 teamers. I mostly focus on 12s. I just kind of assume 10s is just good luck. You all have good pitchers and have fun. But 12 there actually is, it's like the right point for the cliff in my view of actually balancing stardom and also having fun things to go and get at the waiver wire. But there are many times, I mean, I'm in the Pitcherless Legacy League, like that league, the top one of our relegation fantasy baseball league of Pitcherless, there's like 8 leagues. The waiver wire is always barren on that one. I had to pick up Bobby Miller a week before he came up, and everyone was like, what are you doing, Nick? I was like, I got to do this. This is the only way I'm going to get him. So it can be very hard. And I understand your plight with 15 teamers. I got to do it for TGFBI too, you know, which I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right this year, Justin. I don't know. I'm like 140th. Okay. All right.
I wish you had taken me up on my offer to share a main event team because my offense is amazing, but my pitching is atrocious.
Who do you have?
My pitch, I don't know. Everybody's
who knows if I would have helped.
Yeah. Everybody's I didn't take a starting pitcher until the 6th round, which has been part of my
the way I like to think about it is like if you normally think of pitching as a 50-50, hopefully I can make it a 65 for you. You know, that's the best I can do. I'm in the business of good discussion, not being right. Okay.
That I think that is an okay thing for a person who is giving out content.
Trying as hard as I can here.
What about Griffin Canning at Kansas City? And any interest there, Nick?
Griffin Canning's cool, yo. All right. He throws about 30% fastballs these days, and he's able to actually get strikes on his secondaries, and it's kind of cool. He is a little susceptible to to some hard hit balls here and there, which then makes the whip kind of a little annoying with hits and earned runs. But he can go a strikeout an inning like on any day, and the Royals without Vinny P and also in Kansas City sounds so nice.
Yeah,
so I'm in for that one in a 15-teamer.
I am as well. What about Michael Grove versus the White Sox?
Oh gosh, is he going to go more than 4 innings? Do you want him to go more than 4 innings?
I don't know, but
he had one game against
the White
Yankees
Sox without Eloy. So
he had one game, Michael Grove. It's kind of funny because I remember talking to James Anderson in Florida, being like, "I think everyone's overlooking Michael Grove." And like, "Oh no, they're not. They're just smarter than me." But Michael Grove had one good game against the Yankees where he actually got 4-seamers elevated because he has a really good slider. Like that slider is legit with Michael Grove. But if his fastball is just kind of everywhere, then like this doesn't work. He needs to actually work the lanes of like, hey, here's your fastball up, and then the slider plays off of that. And yeah, I can't buy that actually sticking around because it regressed in his next outing. And yeah, not the thing. They need to call up Emmett Sheehan. Honestly, I would recommend in your 15-teamers, just stash Emmett Sheehan. I wouldn't be shocked if he's up like 2 starts after.
We can't stash an NFBC, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to start everybody?
No, you have to. They have to have been drafted. If they're in the minors, you can't pick them up.
You have to wait until they debut.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
you have to wait until they pitch in the majors. Yeah.
So I actually tried to do this with Tout because I wanted Mason Miller the week before he got called up, and I couldn't do it. Why? Are you joking me? He's amazing. He's just got hurt.
I mean, he's amazing. But he's pitched like 35 innings. Like he's not gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got quality for like after the first one.
You got 29 amazing.
And
innings.
even that was like, okay. Did you think that he was going to get hurt after 29 innings or whatever? No, maybe after like 70 or so. But that was still productivity for me in a 15-teamer.
I think I put the over under at 60 innings.
Well, okay, it doesn't matter. Mason Miller is dope and makes me feel dope. And I think there's actually legit potential with him. So
if he's healthy, I agree. I think the problem is, and I mean, I love that you called him Justin Mason on your SP roundup.
Things I do,
not on your SP roundup. It was on the.
It was the Plus Pitch podcast.
I did Plus Pitch podcast.
I was talking about Justin Steele versus Mason Miller, and I was just,
it's now your ringtone on my phone. So,
what is happening right now?
What about Julio Teheran, who Dave mocked me for streaming him in a 2-start week? I think it was last week. He's got Pittsburgh. Also, Wade Miley has Pittsburgh. I don't know that I care that much.
No. Miley, that's still ill in all ways.
But I'm rolling with Julio Teheran for another week.
Oh my gosh, Julio Teheran. Oh boy. It's like a 42% hard contact rate on his sinker. You want to know the funniest part about Teheran? Actually, might even still have him up from talking about him on OTC. Okay. Julio Teheran slider, 23% usage, right? This pitch has been insanely good. It is 97th percentile in strike rate at 75%, which is insane. Normally you see like a 62% strike rate on sliders because it has a 34% called strike rate, which is 99th percentile. Normally you see 14% as league average, 34% called strike rate, and a 3rd percentile swing strike rate. It's 3.6. Okay. He doesn't get whiffs on this. Where does he locate it? Where would you guys say is the worst place to locate a slider? There's 3 options here. There's high location, YM lock, which is the middle of the Y-axis, or low lock, which is keeping it low. Which would you say of the 3 is the worst one?
Middle.
Right. Absolutely. Thigh high sliders are like amazing. High ones are actually kind of interesting because guys think that it's going to be a fastball of the zone and they swing too late and they sometimes whiff on that. It's like what Colin McHugh did in 2015 and what made him insane that year. And it's like, what the heck? Okay. 100th percentile in YM lock. The league average for a slider is 21.6%. Teheran's slider has a 54% YM lock. This thing is like middle all the time. How does he do that? How is this working? Oh, he has a 4-seamer that has some whiffs on it. Like, I don't care.
It's not going to work for long, but
don't do it.
Pittsburgh just got swept by the Oakland A's.
Don't do it. I'm mocking you.
You've got to see what's available
sorry.
in some of these 15-team leagues.
I am mocking you. I'm just going to pour you an applesauce because that's what I thought you originally said. And that's just what I'm going to do.
The fuck? What did you say?
Yeah. I have some applesauce. And I'm just like, Justin, this is what you get. And you have like egg on your face, you're going to have applesauce on your face.
All right. So Julio Teheran is another thing I've got to yell at Nick for.
Yeah. You're welcome, by the way, everyone listening.
And then Daniel Lynch as well. I got to make sure. And then I also have to address you as Sir Nick Pollack.
Yes. Sir Nick Pollack. Thank you. I mean,
you guys are ready to talk baseball again instead of applesauce. Let me know.
I mean, we crisscross all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, God.
What about Varland versus Detroit? Maybe.
So first of all, do you think Varland do you think Maeda returns after 4 innings and 60 pitches in the minors, or I don't think there's a rush. I don't think there should be any reason for him. I don't think he should replace Varland, period. But it feels like he's going to.
Oh, Dave, you got it. And well, I don't know if he's going to necessarily do it. I think what happens here is Varland just had a gauntlet of a schedule. If you guys have been at all following me with Louis Varland, it's been like this absolute painful month because it's like we know Varland is good. We know the 4-seamer is really good. He actually has really good command of his cutter and slider as well. Down and glove side, it's there. And then he has to face like the Astros, and he has to face the Rays, and he has to face the Jays, and it's just why this is so frustrating. And now he finally gets his respite. He finally gets the Tigers, and I think he's honestly going to dominate it. And you will get a riot from all of Minnesota if they say, "Here's Varland actually looking like an ace," and you're going to say, "No, we're done with this." I think honestly, it's going to be a 6-man rotation. The Twins have kind of flirted with that in the past. They also like slowing down their pitchers a little bit. It's why you see a lot of like the 5th and 6th inning pulls. I mean, yes, they're all in about like the 3rd time through the lineup, but they also want to be like, hey, we don't want to really push anyone to 200 plus innings if we can help it. Joe Ryan is very limited in his career. Still like, hey, I don't want to necessarily get 200 innings out of you. Maybe we go 170, 180 if we have a 6-man. You want to ease in Maeda back. So I think this makes a lot of sense to go a 6-man in Minnesota.
You know what makes even more sense, though, is if they just make Kenta Maeda a long reliever, because Kenta Maeda's contract.
He's going to get hurt again.
The inning stipulation again. Here he got hurt. He's fine.
He's got inning stipulations and he's got game started stipulations.
I haven't heard this
contract
since like 2019.
Okay, but it's the Minnesota Twins, and he's not good. It was one thing to be willing to pay him that money when he was good. He's no longer good, so why should they pay him that money? They should put him in the bullpen and not get eaten up. They're a small market team to begin with, or a quote-unquote small market team.
I think y'all completely forget like what pitchers go through of, hey, being hurt affects you. And actually, like what you go through, and like you forget that like 2020, he was everything he was supposed to be from 2019, 2018. That we are like, oh man, we love Kenta Maeda, and he finally got the proper opportunity and he succeeded. 2021, he got Tommy John, doesn't pitch in 2022, comes back this year and he's hurt, and now he's bad all of a sudden. And I don't agree with that. I agree. I think that Kenta Maeda hasn't had the ability to actually get into a rhythm again. Now, when that's going to happen, I don't know. But I don't think it should just be resigned now to long relief because he's bad. I don't agree with that. Now, if you want to make a case that Minnesota is going to be like really in on the inning stipulation and stuff, I think we've already seen a reduction of it, and also 6-man rotation. Like he's not going to get so far into it.
He's one of their 5 best starters right now.
I don't know. I can't tell you that because I haven't seen a healthy Maeda for a long time.
Okay, but there's no guarantee you're going to see a healthy Maeda for the rest of the season.
I agree with that, but at least we got to give him a shot here. We can't just call him bad.
I don't think Minnesota has to give him a shot. They've got 5 really good starters that are pitching well right now.
It makes all the sense.
If Sonny Gray gets hurt again, they can move him right back into the rotation. But
the way that they're using him in the minors doesn't seem like he's being limited. And they're stretching him out too.
This is what I think they should do, but they're not listening to me.
So
Minnesota Twins do not follow me on Twitter.
Are they actually talking about going to a 6-man though? Because like we were talking about this at the beginning of the season, and they chose not to because
it's just
like they had Ober who was ready. Like we were all like, okay, Ober is ready to pitch now, but they chose to keep him down until April 23rd, and then brought him up because they didn't want a 6-man rotation. So
sure,
I mean, maybe it's a different situation now because they want to limit Varland's innings or something.
Yeah.
I just don't know. And
they might want to limit Ober's innings. Not like Ober's thrown a ton of innings because of health over the last few years either.
They
so
could.
I mean, they could definitely move to a 6-man rotation. To me, it just makes so much sense to put him in the bullpen as a long reliever until someone else goes down. Someone else will go down at some point, and Maeda can rejoin.
Well, that's also the other thing I do want to mention is I've had so many conversations over the years. I'm sure all of you have about like the what ifs of like innings limits or guys coming back in 6-man rotations and what does this mean and all of that. And am I wrong to say like half of the time it just sorts itself out?
Almost always. I would even say it's a lot more.
I was doing a concern. Even things like we're talking about like Trevor Rogers. I'm like, oh yeah, well then Yuri Perez. Like here it is. That's the answer. A lot of these things sort themselves out in some way. So even if the Twins do go to a 6-man rotation for a moment, we've seen that actually this year where like Ronel Blanco shows up and the Astros like, yeah, we're a 6-man now for like a week.
Yeah.
Look
and
at
what
the
might
Giants.
honestly happen is that you don't want to be in a situation for the Twins where you put Kenta Maeda into long relief and you don't get consistent time for him to do this because you have your other guys going 5-6. So he doesn't actually get to be stretched out. Then all of a sudden Bailey Ober goes down or someone else goes down. Sorry, Bailey Ober. I really hope you don't. I don't want to put that juju on you. You're doing the Oberizzi thing beautifully. But then Kenta Maeda isn't stretched out now. And now you're in a worse spot. You not only lost Ober, but now you don't even have a stretched out pitcher. Or you can probably do the 6-man thing, give your starters a rest a little bit for like 2 weeks, and it'll probably sort itself out, right? I think that just makes so much sense. And generally when we talk about this stuff, I'm just kind of like, whatever. I think you'd be too big brain of a move to do something about it now, to adjust someone else anticipating a move and just kind of wait until it is. I think you'll just be a lot happier that way.
All right. Taijuan Walker is at times showed improvement. And then as soon as I start to buy back in, he just gets blown up. Where are you at on Taijuan Walker? He's got a start at Oakland. There's no better streaming matchup than maybe like the Rockies on the road. But I put him in my lineup in a couple leagues just because it's like it's at Oakland. I know he's got talent. But he may be the most frustrating pitcher to watch.
I feel like Taijuan Walker is like playing Yahtzee.
Okay.
Because literally like every roll of the die is different, and you're just like, what is this? And what is it? I don't know what his best pitch is. I don't think he knows what it is. Maybe it's a splitter, but it's a splitter and it's not an elite splitter. And he all of a sudden is throwing it like 40% plus. And it's just, is it good? Is it not? Oh yeah. Also, he dropped down all the way to 92 regularly. And then last start literally jumps up 2.5 ticks on his fastball. Just like, you know what? It's a Sunday. I have no idea if that's going to stick around. I have no idea if the splitter being a 40% usage pitch, which started about like 4 starts ago, is actually going to be a thing that you can rely on. The slider is terrible. The fastball over the years has really been the pitch that has gotten him through stuff, but it's just not that good. But maybe he has the velocity back, and the splitter is good at like 28% CSW over 46% usage. Like, fine. Do whatever you want with Taijuan Walker. He could very well get blown up against the Athletics. I mean, you saw Adrian Hauser, and you thought you may be a little safe with that, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. I did feel.
Yeah, he just throws fastballs and hopes for the best. So,
yeah, that one hurt.
What do you got, Dave?
I mean, Hauser is not a guy I would ever play in any league of any size. So it doesn't matter if you're facing the worst offense in the world. If you're at a certain talent level, I'm not willing to play you. I will say over the last 2 weeks, Oakland has a 117 WRC plus versus righties. So while they still struggle versus lefties, versus righties, they've been actually
that's over the last 2 weeks
above average. Yeah.
So how many against righties? So it's 14 days and then minus like how many lefties they saw. And what were those games? Was there like one game where just like Oakland dominated?
There was a few games because they swept the Brewers and beat up on the Pirates.
So they beat up on
so
Hauser.
between Noda, Seth
They beat
Brown,
they beat up on Ronzi Contreras. Remember, like
Ronzi Contreras. They beat up on Hauser. They beat up on I don't know. That seems like too small a sample for me to really believe in that.
They have some good hitters versus righties.
They're a major league team.
But yeah, Taijuan Walker is a guy who, like you, I don't really know what to do with. I hate him. I never end up rostering him. But anytime you see Oakland on the schedule, I know people want to know, like, should I start them versus him? Speaking of that, what do you think about Yanni this week versus Oakland? I know, like, the underlying stuff there is not good, but I think he's better than what he's shown so far. But is he good enough to actually use?
Yanni Chirinos, I think it was something kind of wild over his last like 4 or 5 starts, where he hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any game this year.
Right.
Which is cool, but then you also realize that he has a total of 7 strikeouts over his last 4 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Which isn't fun. And why is it like this? Well, it's because his sinker is an atrocity, and his slider is an atrocity. And then that's 88% of his pitches.
All right, so Nick's not a fan of Yanni.
No, I'm not. Sorry, buddy. You used to be kind of cool, but you're not nearly what you used to be, sadly.
Yeah.
Now, one stream I do really like is Johan Oviedo at the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs are one of the worst hitting teams over the last, maybe the worst hitting team over the last like month, like 53 WRC plus versus righties. That is putrid.
So I think Oviedo might get the Brewers. I'm seeing on Fangraphs probable grid. This is news to me. There's some guy named Osvaldo Bido that apparently is going to make a start on Wednesday. So that's pushing everyone back.
Oh, who's making a start?
Osvaldo Bido.
Oh, is this new information? Okay.
I guess so. I didn't know about this until just looking at it now.
Okay. Well, either
he
way,
has a 14% swing strike rate.
Where are you seeing this?
On the roster resource probable starts grid.
Okay, because on the probable starts grid that I got up on Fangraphs, they've got Kent Emanuel starting.
Well, okay. I'm using roster resource. I don't know what you're doing.
I'm just using from roster resource the probables grid, and it says Kent Emanuel.
What? This is fun.
I see Beto.
Yeah, I see Beto.
Oh, they changed it. Oh wow.
Bam.
Okay. I literally pulled it up at the beginning of this episode. So
right
there it is. In the last hours.
So that feels like it's something that Jason was like, hey, this is a thing. We're gonna do that. So Oviedo gets the Brewers, which honestly isn't that different. It's better, but
not that much better. Not that much
worse.
Yeah.
It's better for Oviedo. He's a command guy though, where like I don't know if his fastball slider will get enough strikes on a given night. His stuff is actually really good. I've been a fan of Oviedo for years, just waiting for him to actually like be able to sequence against pitchers or batters. Yeah. And if he can do that, then things are gonna be good.
Yeah.
He also would get the Cubs after this start too. So you get 2 solid outings. That would be next Wednesday as well for Oviedo. So I think it's kind of interesting.
What about Giants starters Anthony Descalfani and Alex Cobb at St. Louis?
Cobb, no problem. He had to split it back last time, and he's only as good as a splitter. But it's there more times than not. And then Descalfani cannot command anymore. He just lost it the last like month. Yeah. It's been brutal, and I don't trust him in the slightest.
Yeah, I'm with you on both of those takes. Watching both of them pitch pretty much every.
Are you guys Giants fans over there?
Might be a little bit of a Giants fan. The office is orange, which is why I have to keep off my overhead light at night.
Oh God!
Because it turns my screen orange. And then let's finish out with Woo at the White Sox
versus the White Sox.
Let's do it. Let's go. The four-seamer doesn't have the same induced vertical break that we want. Like, it's not the massive one, but he dominated with that pitch against the Angels. It was really, really nice. I'm totally throwing away the Rangers game. I feel like that was just, let's just hit the reset button. The real debut
It's the
was
Rangers. Yeah.
And also keep in mind that because of the situation, Wu was pulled at 4.2. It was only because Ohtani was up next. If he got the previous guy out, it would have been fine. It wasn't like he got to 4.2 innings and then they pulled him at 82 pitches. He could have gone 90 in that one, but he already allowed a home run to Ohtani. It was a tough situation, close game. They decided to pull him and made a lot of sense. I do worry about the secondaries. That is, it's really just a four-seamer. He also has a sinker that is sometimes really cool looking, but not really that consistent. And then the slider that I'm curious what we'll see moving forward. I think a lot of rookies blossom with their slider or their curveball. They're really their secondaries in future starts. And really the first game is more about establishing the heater and having success there. So I think over time we see that. And the White Sox are so bad against right-handed breaking balls. So I actually am really excited about this one because I do think that the game plan will be for Wu to throw more sliders. And that means we'll get to actually see this in action and get a better understanding of them. So yeah, let's do it.
I kind of stayed away from Wu in Fab this last week just because I wasn't super impressed with the secondaries, as you mentioned. So I'm interested to see if you're right and they do have him throw more sliders because I think he's going to need those to be successful. To me, it felt like he just wasn't fully polished and probably is being forced up to the majors because of the injury issues in that Mariners rotation. So, but I'm hoping that you're going to be right and that we're going to see a better start here. And the White Sox are a team you can take advantage of. So we are going to talk about next week's streaming pitchers if you want to stick with us for a little bit longer. I know it's super late.
I have to write the roundup. It is 12:45. This was a wonderful surprise. I thought you were just going to say, Nick, go away. And then like,
no. We moved up next week's streaming pitchers for you in case you want to stick around. But we also understand that it is a late night for you on the East Coast. And you still have to write.
There is some overlap here. He could just attack the ones that we didn't mention yet. There's only a few of them.
What do we got?
All right. So I'll move real quick here. We got Crawford
Kyle
and
Hendricks.
Kyle Hendricks?
We covered those. Yeah. What about Kyle Hendricks at Pittsburgh?
Changeup is actually looking really good. The sinker command was fantastic. He doesn't have his curveball yet, so that's a little scary to me. But I feel like we're at a point that Hendricks looks like the older Hendricks with that changeup and sinker, and that should be fine.
What about Abbott? He's going to get the Rockies who are on the road.
Does he? I know he gets Atlanta this week. I think he got moved then because I think it was supposed to be 2 bad starts. And then I think I did see that too. Just in my head, I have like Abbott as someone to avoid. But no. He does get Rocky Road. Maybe that works because it is a decent four-seamer and curveball. I just don't really think it's too polished yet. And it's not as electric as his minor league numbers would suggest, at least from what I've seen so far. But I'm so terrified of that Atlanta game. I think he's going to get blown up there.
I'm afraid he'll get blown up versus the Rock. I mean, the Rocky Road thing works better when the Rockies have just played at home, not when they've had the previous 10 days on the road. So I think most of the studies on that have proven out that the longer the Rockies are on the road, the better their bats.
There's one caveat here. When it's the Rockies lineup, does it matter? Because we just saw what Snell did in Coors, and he did not pitch at his best, believe it or not. I watched that game. I did a video on it this morning. Check it out. But like, Snell,
I think that's fair. But it's still in Cincinnati, which is just as good as place to hit.
Yeah, that's
Colorado.
Too, yeah,
so
that's fair.
What about Aaron Savali? He's got 2, 1 versus Oakland, 1 versus Milwaukee.
Go for it, man. He's a Toby. He's someone that goes like 6 innings. The Guardians also let guys go. He's throwing 65% cutters plus curveballs right now, like that. It's terrible sinker, but he's not throwing it, so that's fine.
How about Michael Lorenzen, who somehow is doing stuff?
No, he's not. He just did stuff against terrible opponents.
Well, he gets
stuff isn't good. You know, there are a lot of guys. This is like really what a Toby is. There are a lot of guys that like, hey, you throw enough strikes where it's not like necessarily the worst stuff, but there's nothing electric about it. Like it's pretty much, I'm going to like a utilitarian place. I'm like, I'll have 1 slider, please. Like, and then here is Lorenzen's slider. Like it's nothing to write home about. So it can work on a given night. It's just not something that I circle, especially against not the worst offenses.
So I've got Michael Lorenz on a dynasty league team where I'm trying to like actively hurt my ratios.
Oh boy.
Because
Is it worst ball?
Because I'm rebuilding, and so I want a higher draft pick. So therefore, I'm trying to, this is a team where I've like
You're actually tanking, like real life tanking.
Yeah, I'm tanking, but I need the innings to cross the innings threshold, and he's actually.
And Lorenzen is the one. You would enjoy worst ball. We play this at Pitchers. I can't do it because I don't want to. I know you're gonna laugh, but I can't root for negativity, so I don't play worst ball. But
I used to play a version of that on Baseball Perspectives. Had it?
I understand the fun. I remember everyone's telling me like their number one picks. It's about volume at bad ratios, right?
Yeah, I used to draft Chris Davis of the Orioles.
Oh man, I hope you guys have Jordan Lyles in those leagues.
Yeah, exactly. What about Herman and Schmidt, who are both going to get starts versus Seattle next week?
I like Herman more than Schmidt. Herman's curveball is actually, I think, more underrated than anything in that rotation. The four-seamer and changeup are good enough. They're not exceptional, but they're not detrimental, and that's a really important distinction when you have a really, really good primary pitch. Schmidt doesn't have a put-away offering, and he also, I think, against lefties doesn't really know what to do. And it's kind of annoying. He's made it through. Like he's had like 5 straight starts of production, but it's all been all right. I'm glad this worked. I'm a little scared about it. It can work out, but I think Herman is the better play.
What about JP Sears, who finally got his first win of the season?
That was his first
Cleveland.
one.
Yeah,
that he had
plays
4
for Oakland.
Brewers.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want him against the Phils. Maybe against the Guardians. Show me something against the Phils first.
All right, and then we'll finish up with you with Josiah Gray and Mackenzie Gore, who both have 2 starts versus Seattle, versus St. Louis and San Diego.
No.
Wow.
No. Mackenzie Gore to me doesn't understand what his approach is, and like he will decide it that day. Josiah Gray is only an ERA play. He has a sub 20% strike rate. The last time I checked, his whip is terrible. He has too many hits. He doesn't know. Like, what the solution for Josiah Gray this year was, oh man, my fastball is really bad. It allows so many home runs. I'm going to throw cutters now. Threw these cutters, and they weren't that good. And they say, okay, cool. I'm going to throw more fastballs now. We go, wait. That was the problem. And can't be the solution for the solution to a problem. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. And I don't want to touch that. I don't want to touch either one of those. If you really, really need to chase some strikeouts, fine. Mackenzie Gore, it could happen with his curveball and a slider if he gets his 4-seamer up, but he doesn't have the command, nor does he really have the dedicated approach. And I do wonder if this is a Nationals thing. Like, the Nationals are not good at pitching development, and I'm kind of scared as long as Mackenzie Gore is in DC.
All right. Well, Nick, you want to promote anything? Do you want to
just support these guys?
Yeah.
Thanks for being here on the live stream. I think it's really cool that you guys are here. I see you on Twitch. I see you on YouTube. Make sure you watch it. When do you guys normally do these live streams?
Monday nights. So usually about 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific ish. And then what we do is we peel back the curtain a little bit. We record 4 straight episodes, and then we release them over the next 4 days. So,
oh boy,
yeah.
This is only number 2.
This is episode 2.
Oh my gosh! So you guys are gonna be doing this for like another 2 hours,
probably.
Yeah, and then
I have to hear this dedication, everybody.
Then I have to write.
How do you not support this? Have you not left them a good rating or review on iTunes yet? It goes a long way for everybody.
Get you a free RotoWare T-shirt at the end of the month. I'm going to give away a RotoWare T-shirt for a 5-star deal. See, there you go.
Absolutely, you guys should be doing that right now. Love these guys both. I don't get to see them often enough, and I look forward to that in the future.
I'll see it in August, buddy.
Yes. Oh man, I get to say it at Shea Salinger. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, you coming out for a visit to Justin's place?
I've got a wedding in Sonoma, so.
Oh wow,
which is a good 15 minutes down the road from where I live. So
let's go.
We're gonna hang out at Osceola's Bar and Grill and watch some baseball and and a cuddle.
And we'll do it. We'll do a whole meetup for it. Yeah, I mean the cuddling was out, goes without saying.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
can't wait.
Absolutely.
Just gotta make Alex jealous.
For sure. Good seeing you, buddy. Thank you so much for
being our surprise. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me in and dealing with me.
Appreciate you.
Later. Bye-bye.
Definitely go follow Nick on Twitter at PitcherList. Go follow.
Everybody's already following him already.
I know they are, but go read his daily roundup, which is like must reading every day.
SP roundup, that is must reading for sure. That's something that I read every day.
Yeah, absolutely. No one better in the business at pitching than Nick Pollack. So, do we want to like tackle some of the SP streamers for next week that we didn't tackle with Nick because we already kind of mentioned them in this week's, or just go on ahead on? They'll be in the show notes. Yeah, people.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
There. So,
yeah.
Let's talk about hitting matchups for next week. Arizona, they've got 7 games, and all 7 are against righties, including some bad pitchers. Who are you looking to stream there?
Yeah, so for next week, the week after this week, I mean, like not the current week, but the week after, I didn't actually see any blue matchups for any teams. Like I didn't see any elite matchups where any teams have like phenomenal hitting schedules. Now the schedules will change between now and then, so we'll see if anything changes between now and then that makes anything an elite matchup for a team. But yeah, so getting into some green matchups, Arizona gets 7 righties, which is great news if you have any access to Lord Gurriel. I don't know why he would still be available in any leagues, but if he is, pick him up. He's awesome, and he's got a 142 WRC plus versus righties. A little bit more under the radar, though, is Perdomo, who surprisingly has a 140 WRC plus versus righties. So if you're looking for a guy to plug in your middle infield for the week, Perdomo makes for a very sneaky pickup.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is rostered in 84% of Yahoo leagues.
Okay.
Right now, so mostly
that's higher than I thought.
Mostly rostered, but that's still just double check. You never know.
Yeah.
Geraldo Perdomo is rostered in just 28% of leagues right now, so he's much more widely available. Cincinnati's got 6 games, 4 righties, 2 lefties, including some Colorado starting pitchers on the road,
though. Cincinnati, on the road, not in Colorado,
not in Coors,
but as you mentioned earlier, this episode, Cincy's ballpark is quite good, so they do have all 6 games in Cincy. So if you need some homers, now the problem is that a lot of Cincy's hitters are righty mashers, but they don't have a lot of guys who can really hit lefties super well. The one guy who stands out to me is Spencer Steer. He's probably going to be owned in most leagues by now, but if he's not, he's a big play next week. You can play guys like Fraley and Friedel in leagues like NFBC where you have midweek changes. So for the weekend when they go to when they face Atlanta, but it is Morton Strider and Smith Shawver. So it's not like you're getting great matchups there, but you are getting 3 righties in Cincy, which I will still be playing those guys for.
Yeah, Steer's 82% owned in Yahoo. So, but just again, double check your waiver wires. Colorado, they're going to be playing in Cincinnati. They've got 3 lefties, 3 righties. Who are you targeting?
Yeah, Colorado gets Williamson, Lively, and Abbott in Cincinnati. So you're looking for someone who can hit some lefties, and that's going to be Randall Grichuk. The problem is he doesn't play every day, but he's been playing more and more lately. So I'm hoping he gets to the point where he, it's like one day off a week at the most. But if you're just talking about 5 games from Grichuk with 3 lefties on the schedule, because he will face all the lefties. Sandoval is the other guy he's scheduled to get right now, in addition to Abbott and Williamson. So most of the other Rockies not great versus lefties, but like I said, Grichuk is a good target for next week.
Yeah, I agree. Kansas City, 7 games, 4 righties, 3 lefties, including the Detroit Tigers starting pitchers.
Yeah, it's going to be another good Pratto week. He's getting 3 more lefties the following week. He's in line for, and we got Matthew Boyd, the home run machine, just gives up homers all over the place. Joey Wentz and McClanahan's the other one. So that's not a great matchup, but they also get Lorenzen and Yanni Chirinos. So it's a very nice week for Kansas City hitters.
Very good. Miami's got 7 games, 4 righties, 2 lefties, and against some poor starting pitchers.
Yeah, Miami's 7 games, all at home, but they've hit actually pretty well at home. They do get Luis Ortiz, Rich Hill, Oviedo, Kikuchi, Barrios, and then a couple of things where we don't really know what Toronto and Pittsburgh are doing just yet. So really, they don't get any great pitchers that they have to face, and they get 7 games. So, Brian De La Cruz and Jorge Soler apply once again. And if Pittsburgh happens to use a righty and they end up with getting 5 righties, once again, Jesus Sanchez becomes a good play. Anytime he gets 5+ righties, I'm looking to get Jesus in there.
Absolutely. Love piece and Jesus Sanchez. Minnesota, they're going to have a nice little set of games. 7 games in total, 6 against righties, 1 against a lefty, and some below average starting pitchers there.
Yeah, this has been the week that you've probably been waiting for from Minnesota, where Kirilloff and Julian and Royce Lewis can all be healthy and mashing together, hopefully. Kirilloff 155 WRC plus versus righties. Julian 142 WRC plus versus righties. Next week is the week to target those guys because they get Matthew Boyd is the only lefty on the schedule. So they don't face like horrendous righties, but they also don't face any aces. It's Cutter Crawford, Garrett Whitlock, Houck, Bayo, Reese Olson, and Michael Lorenzen. Although our friend Nick Pollack would probably beg to differ that Whitlock is really good, but he's not a top 10 pitcher yet.
Not yet, but yeah, I do like Whitlock as well. And then my San Francisco Giants, 7 games, 5 to 6 righties, 1 to 2 lefties, kind of depending on how the schedule lines up.
Yeah, it really just depends on whether Seth Lugo comes back and takes Ryan Weathers' spot. If he does, then they get 6 righties. And anytime you see San Francisco with 5+ righties, it's all of them. It's, San Fran does those platoons, and they have all these righty mashers there. Jock, 158 WRC plus. Lamont Wade, 153 WRC plus. JD Davis, 135. Yastrzemski, 132. Conforto, 123. Sable, even 118. You've got, anytime the Giants are facing righties, just get as many of these guys in your lineup as you can. Last week, I put Jock, Wade, JD Davis, Yaz, Conforto in my lineups as much as possible. So definitely preemptively go pick those guys up because they might have been dropped for this week because San Fran this week only gets 3 or maybe 4 righties, depending on what the Dodgers do.
3, yeah.
It's 3 depending on what the Dodgers do on Saturday. So I don't know that yet. But yeah, so because of that, maybe some of these guys get dropped, especially in like 10s and 12s. And some of these, pick up, Jock and Wade first and foremost, and then, and JD Davis too. And then kind of Yastrzemski would be a guy who I would play after I get those guys. And Sable is a, catcher 2 kind of guy, not someone I'm looking to shove in my 12-team lineups. But yeah, some really good options from San Fran.
All right. We got a bunch of orange matchups. So you want to run through those?
Yeah. So, obviously anyone who's just has 6 games who just faces some good pitching. So we got Houston, Milwaukee, the New York Mets, the Yankees, and the Oakland A's. They're really just they're not necessarily must avoids if you've got good players playing for them, but they're guys who generally their schedules line up to get some pretty good pitching. So I'm not really targeting players from those teams.
All right. And then who are our red matchups?
Yeah, so the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Cardinals they just get 5 games, and they have a mixture of some good, some bad pitchers. Generally, I'm staying away from those guys. I'm benching my players, my non-elite players from those teams. The one that I'm benching everybody from, though, is Baltimore. Their schedule is horrendous. Not only do they get 5 games, but it's Tyler Glasnow, Taj Bradley, Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, and George Kirby. So that is just a whole waste of a week. So if you've got a bunch of Orioles, make other arrangements for next week.
There you go. That is going to do it for this episode. I want to thank Nick for being our surprise guest, but also thank Dave for doing all this legwork, because this is a lot of legwork that goes into planning this particular episode. Dave, where can people reach you at, and where can people find your work?
Yeah, you can reach me at RunDMcD on Twitter. And then, like I said, rotosaurus.com. I've got the pitching schedules up. Hopefully we'll get the hitting schedules up for you shortly as well. And you guys can see all the other things that we didn't talk about because we covered the blue and the green, but we didn't cover the yellow and the whites for the hitters because it's just too much to cover every single team. So, you can see some of the good schedules and the neutral schedules that we didn't discuss on there.
And you can reach me on Twitter at Mason FWFB. Email me the show, friendsoffantasybenefits@gmail.com. Write daily at Fangraphs and 3 times a week at Fantasy Pros. I'm on this podcast and the Sleeper in the Bus podcast. That will do it for this episode. For Dave and myself, thank you for listening. Have a fantastic baseball season.